Hello, this is Vix's5 and just making another video today, but this isn't one I was planning on making, but it's where the zoo for the Planet Zoo 2 website has been released, and it's got several reveals and yes, to be to go over, so got a couple of new species and a couple of animals that have already been confirmed, but I got new information about. So to start with, going through these in alphabetical order. So first up is the reveal of the return of the African penguin. So this is another animal that's a magic correctly predicts related to the base scale of Fantasy 2. It will said it to be between this and the Humboldt penguin, but it's definitely a great thing that it's made comeback. It does apply that there is actually going to have a penguin that's launched, which is penguins in general will staple in zoo games. I mean, you tend to mainly guess the Emperor penguin, but Fantasy 2 series that's going to be different here, and the second penguin to be in the base game Fantasy 2. It's one of the most prominent penguins in captivity, and also the rarest, with it being critically endangered. So it doesn't seem too different to might have made it more of a black, but it looks great. I mean, they've been the first game was amongst one of the okay. So that's great. Got the African savanna elephant here, so got a new image for it. It looks even better than it originally did. It's got a more lighter shade of grey, so looking a bit more like how the Africans typically looks like. Have the axolotl, so getting a closer look at the model, which I think is a little not as good as the original model, if I'm going to be honest, but I wouldn't say it's a bad model by any means. And this is pretty much, well, I have to, some criticisms. I actually, I think it was earlier just last week I did make a video talking about my issues with the Maasai giraffe model. Now I got some issues surrounding the blue and gold fusilier. Now, with some of the fish, there are certain fish in which there are species in which there's more some minor differences to each other. So with certain fish, it isn't exactly certain what species Frontier decide to go for. In the Birds Zoo wiki, so it did label the as Sasioterus, but it turns out this is supposed to be, at least according to the Zoopedia, Sasioceloria. And I did look what it looked like, and Sasioceloria looks completely different to the fish that we got here. Yeah, seriously, this is the species that this model is supposed to be. It's to notice. Here we got a a bright shade of blue with some yellow, maybe a little bit of lime out on the top there, so it's around the dorsal fin. Here we got a even paler blue. It's not being also as turquoise here. You instead get this new stripe of dark yellow, so highlighted color. I saw around the center of the body, and then in the look. So that's thin. And if we take into account Sasioterus, which is what was originally thought to be the species, it actually looks more like the model here. This 3% accurate, but the shade of blue is it's more closer to the model here. It's right, but not really very pale shade, and the yellow is pretty much oops. So the correct spot here. I think I actually can click onto. Here we go. So actually, the yellow also is present on the rear, the half of its body, and that that perfectly matches Zooterus, and it even has this sort of line, very thin line right here, which the model does indeed have. So so I'm not sure if cheers parts. I'm not sure if my going to put Cesiocilor to be in the game, but then whoever made the models ended up making the wrong species, or if it's the other way around. I think what should happen is these two scenarios. So one, Frontier changes the scientific name to be Serioterus, which the model more looks far more like, or to actually change the model to look like Cesiocilauria here. And it would be easier to just change the scientific name. And I think Cesiocterus is a bit more common in captivity than Cesiocilauria. And so there's also that. I think Cesiocterus looks more, it's the yellow being more prominent, and it's I think more of a proper blue, and it looks more appealing to me than this species. Personally, it's I think that's all that I have to say about the blue and gold fusilier. I do think there should be a change that needs to be made with the species. It's the scientific name on the model. Then we move on to another a returning species that has just been confirmed today. A very big surprise to me, the European bison. So here's the European bison, which was originally from the Eurasia pack, is making a comeback. And the Africa penguin, by the way, was from the Africa pack. And that was a big surprise. I thought that it would be reserved for a DLC to make way for the more iconic plains bison and more common in captivity, and at least so the North American players still have an animal that's endemic to North America. We do still have animals that are found in North America, such as the axolotl, the golden eagle, and the grey wolf. But so far, not any animals that are there to North America, which is maybe a bit bad for American players that yet to have that closer to the continents, and yet with some of the European counterparts. I mean, so I'm still happy that the European bison is making back. It's the largest in Europe. It's in cattle that have a large amount of personal attachments to. There's two sides about species, and it's also another one of my favourite house on the first scale. I do, maybe because of my huge personal attachment to it, it doesn't seem to the original one. Well, I might have done some minor tweaking there. I think that the goatee is even more accurate. And the African penguin and the European bisons are the only animals that the zoopedia has revealed on the 23rd of June. So they're both returning species. So far, there hasn't been any new new species, entirely new species for the series revealed. So you've got the golden eagle here with the image for it's actually perching, and does at least have a darker head than the first image for it. So that would give off so that it will have color variations that to the different subspecies. Have the golden lion towering. Well, look, pretty much the same image that was used for the advertisement for the deluxe and the announcement trailer. Great hammerhead. It's also actually got 100% information that this is more specifically the great hammerhead shark. Originally, yeah, and the announcement just simply labeled it as a hammerhead shark, but and that's where the that this is supposed to be the great species, just for the description of it. Image giving the impression that it's massive. And then we got the long-fin batfish. I think we have a similar case with blue and gold fusilier, that to actually be a different species. So I think it was Taxa we played Talux or something like that, which I think is as the Talux batfish. Sorry, it's the Terra batfish. That's what's to be in the deluxe edition. But here we've actually got Playtax Nartus, which is also commonly referred to as either the Pinnet batfish or Dusky batfish. But unlike with the Fusilier here, and I think there's barely any differences between the different species of batfish. So I guess this would just as well as the products, but as it does the Terra batfish. And then, really enough, so what's larger than the other icons for some reason, which is interesting. When it was on the headline, first, well, I think the Tokyo was advertised better, but it's actually got a niche from the ground. The model looks weird. It's high counterparts here. And then here we got the Samartian tiger, of course the mascot animal, and I do think which is called the Samartian tiger. It's being the mascot animal for the game, and I do think it's better than all it's on the first game combined. And we've just got the indication that eventually more and more are going to appear on this over time, and it's probably that animals that appeared in the the gameplay trailer along with the Grey Wolf will eventually actually show on the zoopedia, along with the common hippo, which was revealed in last week. There's also a database option, not sure. Okay, it doesn't do anything. There we go. That's all that I have to say. So recap: you have Penguin and Tube soon have been confirmed to make a comeback, and it turns out there's blue gold fusilier and the batfish have actually been different species than originally thought, and the model looks like a different species of fusilier. So there we go. So we'll have mixed.